Hey YouTubers, this week we're going to discover worlds that are dominated by water. Kevin Costner was totally right, water worlds exist. We are going to explore Aboriginal astronomy and the understanding that millennia ago the ancient peoples of Australia knew that stars themselves varied over the course of years. And we're going to finally confirm the presence of water on the moon, key to any future colonization efforts on our closest neighbour.
There's water on the moon, is there?
There is. So there's not cheese, but we actually have water. So we're partly there to a meal. This is...
Just need to find wine next.
Well, that could be possible. We have an idea of using the water on the moon for ultimately colonization. That's what's so incredible about this discovery.
Leave the moon alone.
Oh, well, look, here it is. And it's on the left image is the South Pole, the right is the North, and you can see those coloured regions. Those are where we actually have detected water from the Moon Mineralogy Mapper on board an Indian spacecraft. This isn't tentative evidence, this is the actual detection now of water.
Frozen, I assume.
Yes, so we've been able to use infrared scans to actually confirm that it's frozen water, and it's hiding in the shadows of craters. So these are permanently shadowed regions. The sunlight never hits them, meaning that water can remain there for potentially billions of years.
Okay, which is...
Until we get to it.
Yeah, until we get to it, which is a positive for people wanting to get there at some stage in the future.
But is it potable water?
Well, that's a very good point, because so we're looking at Shackleton Crater, which is one of the suggested locations for a moon base. The challenge with this is moon dust is intensely toxic.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of the astronauts suffered a little bit of respiratory issues, coughing. It just gets everywhere. So
it's incredibly fine, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, so and it was actually able to, if you can see the old archival space boots and things from the Apollo era, it is just impossible to get rid of this dust. So a lot of challenges before we try to live on the moon, but the biggest one was trying to get water up there. So with these ice reserves, we can just
we don't have to anymore.
That's it. We don't have to
take some of the payload out from future space
I'm
missions.
serious. There are European...
living on the moon.
This is great.
You know, you could imagine the kicks you could do with the footy under the
because there's no
lower
trees,
gravity.
And I like to live around trees.
Well, trees could grow very tall on the moon, right? I'm just saying, there's very many adventures. Perhaps not if you're in that level of habitat, which is a few metres high.
Isn't that a lovely environment? What a beautiful...
It's like Luke Skywalker's house in the first Star Wars.
No, there's no sun. There's just sort of like this glare.
What a view of the Earth.
What a view. And speaking of the Earth there, lots of blue there, but it appears there are other planets that other bits in space that are much more watery than Earth.
Yeah, so we like to think of the Earth as being dominated by water, 2/3 of the Earth's surface. By mass, it's actually about 0.02%. We are very much water as an afterthought on Earth. There are worlds now discovered that fully a half of the world itself, 50%, is water. These are truly water worlds.
Oh, wow.
Kevin Costner-style movies. So here's an example of some of the more recently discovered alien worlds. Its impressions, Earth's on the right. These worlds are all larger than the Earth, and that's the key difference. They've actually, through their gravity, have hoovered up the water in their early formation to become dominated in a way that the Earth isn't. But again, it's just reminding us that water is just such a common ingredient throughout the universe.
There's a very fluid theme to your report this morning, Alan.
Let's see if we can keep it going with the third topic. I don't know. Let's see what we can manage.
I love this third topic.
Yeah,
it's
this is fantastic, which is evidence that Indigenous Australians, and very early Indigenous Australians, actually understood and charted the movements of the stars.
Yes, the movements, the properties, and the variability, indeed, of the stars. So this is, in European scientific terms, we think John Herschel was the first to discover Betelgeuse, the star in Orion, would vary in brightness over time.
Which is a very, very big sun.
Yes, many, many times larger than our sun. But it varies in brightness over the course of years. Now, it turns out that Indigenous Australians have known of this for thousands of years, and more than that, have actually stories relating the variability of Betelgeuse sitting in Orion, in Niruna, in their constellation of the Kokatha people of Great Victorian Desert. And there's a story involving that object and Kambudaga, which has a variable star of its own called Aldebaran. They vary across years at different rates, and the stories are aware of this and have actually predicted those kind of variabilities.
That is amazing. Do they have, as the ancient Greeks did as well, an understanding of constellations? Did they talk about constellation of stars and what they formed and named them accordingly?
Absolutely. So there's many, many stories involving every star you can imagine sitting up there. The indigenous people were very skilled astronomers. We have the stories, some of the stories have been passed down and recorded in Western literature. So much more has been lost, we're sure.
Yeah.
The level of understanding is something that Western science is only just beginning to get a handle on.
Fantastic,
Great start.
That really is a great story. There's a great bit of research and some theses to be written around that, I reckon.
Oh, look, Dwayne Hamisher in Monash is doing a great job with all of this.
Fantastic.
Yep.
He's the man.